wonderful media that's here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome to ESM and welcome to Pine Grove. Thanks for all that you do. You have a wonderful career pathway. Thank you for being here today and for showcasing a wonderful event or for informing the public about this very informative event. So thank you. Thanks for all that you do. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm done. No, I was in high school, so right here. Oh, you're kidding. Nope. He did a great job. He's my
Like if you want
yes. Okay, because he was editing, right? He might have told you, and now I think he's being moved over to the production side. Yeah, he's both doing great.
Good to see you. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Are you an intern? Welcome. I was an intern once. Hi, everybody. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for having us. Hi. Good to see you. Pleasure. Hello. Hi. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Hi. Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, nice to see you. Hi, nice to see you again. Thank you. Yes, I know you talked about him. It was him you were talking about that day on the Senate floor. I know it. Yes, we are.
Thank you,
sir.
everybody. Great to see you. Thank you for everyone. Hi. Nice to see you. Pleasure. And today's the first day of school.
It is.
Thank you,
The
kids.
first day of school.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's a very good cause. Hi, everybody. Some of you teach here? They're all suits. All suits. Wow.
There's a couple of us.
Okay. All right, let's get started. Yeah, go ahead, Donna. Where's my,
Good afternoon.
Hey, John.
Welcome to Pine Grove Middle School. I'm Donna Desiato, Superintendent of the East Syracuse Minoa Central School District. We are honored today to host our distinguished United States Senator from the state of New York and the Majority Leader of the United States Senate, Chuck Schumer. Senator Schumer is a strong advocate of education for all children and recognizes the importance of safety for our students. We live in a digital world, and the internet is a powerful tool as well as a highway that shapes the lives of our youth. However, it also poses risks if not navigated with care. For students under 17, online safety is imperative. We thank Senator Schumer for his leadership and in keeping online safety for our students at the forefront. Please join me in welcoming a recognized leader in our state, country, and the world, Senator Chuck Schumer.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I want to thank Donna Desiato for the great job she does here in the East Syracuse Central School District, and for being here. We have a number, we're going to hear from the first 5 people, but I'm going to introduce everybody. This is such an important issue. We have superintendents from across Central New York. And when I mention your name, raise your hand so we can acknowledge each of you. But first, of course, we have Mary Rohde, who I've come to know very well. I'll talk about her in a few minutes, but as you know, she's from the North Country. She lost a son to this kind of online predation that we see with our kids. We have one of the great, not just labor leaders, but total leaders on so many different issues, not just in New York, but in all of America. Someone I've worked with so closely with, and that is Randi Weingarten, the president of the American Federation of Teachers. And with her is somebody who runs NYSUT, our New York State United Teachers, Melinda Person, as well as Kathleen Gaffney-Babb, president and CEO of Helio Health. We'll hear from all of them in a few minutes. We also want to welcome John Mannion, our New York State Senator for the 50th District. Is this your district, John?
You got it.
You got it. Okay, you got the east side. It's always been 2 districts in the Senate. And now we have some of our great superintendents. We have Ashley Wilson, president of Pine Grove Middle School. Ashley, thank you. We have Matthew Cook, the superintendent of the OCM BOCES. Matthew, I want to see each one. Dr. Joseph Barbieri, superintendent of Baldwinsville. There. Peter Smith, Dr. Peter Smith of Jamesville DeWitt. Darcy Woodcock, superintendent of Tully Central School District. Dr. Woodcock. Thank you. We have the superintendent of the Onondaga Central School District, Rob Price. Rob, thank you. We have the superintendent of Lafayette Central School District, Jeremy Belfield. See, look how important this is. It really, I can't thank you all enough for being here, particularly as the school year begins. I know you're very, very busy. Dr. James Austin, the superintendent of Lynn Court Union Free School District. Dr. Craig Tice of Fayetteville Manlius. Not Dr. Jay Tinklepaw, the superintendent of Salve Union Free School District. Okay, sorry to call them out. Patrick Kinney, the vice principal of Bishop Grimes, Paul Waltz, unrelated, I guess, right? President.
ESM School Board.
Got it. The ESM School Board, Kay Gallery, the East ESM Board member and parent, Florence Dukes, Chief Marketing Officer, Helio Health, and Lisa Mancini, President and Vice President at Superhill, and Ed Milchelenko, our DeWitt Town Supervisor. So Ed, thank you for being here. And as I said, this shows you the importance of the issue we're here today. First day of school, I need not tell you how important our school districts are. Just tangentially, these superintendents and teachers are going to be training the next generation of people who are going to work at the great things like we have done with bringing high-tech jobs and new jobs to Central New York. One of the reasons, seriously, that our companies decided to come here was they looked at the quality of the education that all of you were providing. And it was one of the main reasons they were able to get these huge new chip fab plants here and in the surrounding regions. Micron's going full speed ahead, but as I said, when I talked to Sanjay, the head of Micron, the education quality of Central New York helped us land the biggest chip fab in the country and probably the world that's going to be here. And students unborn yet who you will train. Okay, but that's not why we're here today. We're here today to protect these kids. Obviously, we have to educate them, but we have to protect them because there are new dangers that are out there because of social media and online. So we're here today to talk about 3 things. First, the dangers of social media and the internet on our kids. Second, what the Senate, the U.S. Senate, bipartisan, Democrat and Republican, has done to address it. And third, what needs to happen next. We all know social media has lots of benefits. My grandson, I was over there last night having dinner. He was online, he's 5. And he looked online at the longest word in the English language. It's not anti-disestablishmentarian. It's some long word of some disease that has 45 letters, and in the middle of it is the word volcano. To help him read it. You know about this. Yeah. We didn't have this when we were in school. But in any case, so they do amazing things. But because they're online, because of the social media, they can be preyed upon by bad people. And for years, we have tried to stop that from happening, and now we're right on the verge of letting it happen, of letting there be some real protections for kids who go online. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So the Senate has addressed this, but we also have to talk about what has to next happen. And as I said, when you're a parent, as Ms. Rhodey will tell you in a minute, no greater pain than losing a child. None. In my case, I think of this about my grandchildren, who are 5, 2, and 1. And we think about it almost every day. What if something terrible happened to our kid or our grandchild? I feel so strongly about this. I felt strongly as a parent, and that was before the social. Whoops. Sorry. Before. Whose is this? Somebody.
Oh, this is mine.
Here, I'll put it right there. We felt this before the social media developed, but now there are new and very bad ways that kids can be hurt. Ensuring our kids' safety means ensuring they're rode a bicycle or something like that. We wanted them to be safe. But probably one of the greatest dangers young kids face is predation online. Risks like bullying and exploitation and risks to their mental health. As I said, the internet's been a force for good. It can teach my grandson a 45-letter word, I guess, or at least try to teach him. But it can do some very bad things too. And the current laws fail to address those dangers, and I've heard too many heart-wrenching stories about the consequences of that failure, and you'll hear one in a few minutes. But I've talked to countless New York families here in central New York, in upstate New York, in New York City, and around the country who have experienced this firsthand. Some who have unfortunately experienced that unthinkable loss. And joining me today is Mary Rhodey, who's been one of the leaders in this fight. She drove down from the North Country. The Rhodey family lost their son Riley. She has a picture of him. You'll see him from Potsdam High School up in St. Lawrence County after he was the victim of exploitation of social media. And I just want to thank Mary. Why don't you come up?
Thank you.
Other side, Chuck.
I want to thank her because it is so easy when something so evil and tragic and never ending, because it'll never end, affects you. And the reaction of most people would be to turn inward, be angry, etc. But there's some beautiful people among us, I've learned as I've been in the Senate. When tragedy affects them, instead of turning inward and being angry, they spend their time and energy trying to make sure it doesn't happen to others. Mary's never going to get Riley back in her family. But she wants to make sure there's not additional Rileys. And that's why she's here, and that's why she lobbied us in Washington so relentlessly. And you know, the scriptures tell us that when someone does something like this, it's almost saint-like. It's what they call lighting a candle. And Mary is lighting a candle for the nation. Thank you
sir.
so much for that.
Thank you.
Because of Mary and many other parents who I've come to know and become friends of, and their relentless advocacy, the biggest and most successful updates to federal policy for kids online has passed, biggest in decades. Mary and fellow parents have been titans in Washington. They would not rest. They came down over and over again. They knocked on doors. They talked to people passionately about their children. And this legislation wouldn't have gotten done without them. And the thousands of other parents, teachers, health professionals who did this. And I want to thank our union leaders here today, because they didn't have to do this, but they did it because they cared so much about the kids. And so, to our great union leaders here, we thank you so much. So we overcame roadblocks. We tried to get this passed in every which way we could, but we couldn't, so we put it on the floor of the Senate in July. And here's the good news. The two bills, one called KOSA, Kids Online Safety Act, and the other called COPPA, the Children and Teens Online Privacy Prevention Act, were voted on, and they passed 91-3. A huge. You don't see that too often in Washington, but it happened here. And I always try to do things whenever I can in a bipartisan way. And this bill had some great sponsors. One of our more progressive senators, Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut, one of our very conservative senators, Senator Blackburn from Tennessee, but they came together, as we all did, to get this done. What do these bills do? Simply, they require the platforms to prevent and mitigate dangers to our children. Suicide, eating disorders, substance abuses, and more. There are evil companies that target these kids and lure them in so they can do advertising. It's just gross. And we now will be able to stop them and tell the social media that they have a responsibility to stop them. And that is very, very important. It also bans the targeting advertising to our kids, and it protects the children's data online and gives parents the tools to keep their kids safe online. Anyone who's a parent or grandparent sees our kids always online, but you don't always know what they're doing. You need built-in protections. You can't have a parent hovering over a kid every time, whether they're 5 or 16, every time they're on social media. That would be impossible. So, right after the Senate voted overwhelmingly why are we here today? This should be just a day of celebration, but our job isn't done. And right after the Senate voted overwhelmingly to pass this bill, reports came out that the House leadership had no plans to bring it for a vote. It's not a partisan issue. Passed 91-3. It's never been a partisan issue, and the parents made sure of that. But unfortunately, the leader of the House said he doesn't want to bring it up. So we are here today to say enough is enough. We're here to say two things to the House. Stop the needless delays. You don't want to vote for it? Go ahead. The voters will deal with that. But put it on the floor of the House and let there be a vote, and I'm confident it would pass by the same overwhelming margin that we passed it in the Senate. Time's running out. As you know, we have an election coming up in November, so the House is running out of time. They go back into session next week, as do I, but there are only a few weeks to pass this legislation. And if the House doesn't bring the Senate bill to the floor, or tries to dilute it, or needlessly change it, we could lose the whole deal. The Senate did its job. I worked as majority leader to clear the calendar and make sure children are our #1 priority. There's no reason the House can't do the very same thing. We need members of the House to be demanding a vote immediately on these bills, to demand no changes, because oftentimes when someone wants to screw around with legislation, instead of just voting no, they demand changes. That would be what's called killer amendments, and kill the bill. We don't want any killer amendments. We don't need any amendments. This bill has been perfected over and over, refined over and over. We just need it to pass. No delays, no risks to this life-saving legislation not getting done. There's no reason they shouldn't bring it up to the vote. There's no reason they shouldn't show the public where they stand. And this effort is a personal effort. To Mary, of course, and to the thousands who have lost children. One of the people here from New York, she told us her daughter was a perfectly happy kid with no problems. Somehow on one day got online, one of these vicious algorithms got hold of her and kept going after her over again, talking about suicide, and 2 days later she killed herself. 2 days. A perfectly happy kid. So the effort's personal. Every one of us who's a parent, a grandparent, or just has kids in our lives wants to get this passed, not for politics, but because it's personal, and to pass the most meaningful reforms to online safety that have passed in decades. Our message is clear, we're unified, we're bipartisan, the time to act is now. So now let me call on Mary Rohde to tell you in her brave and bold way her story.
Hi, thank you everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me here. I'm really grateful to be here. I actually spent 4 first days of school in East Syracuse when I attended Le Moyne, so it's nice to be back. Yeah. So thank you, Leader Schumer. I'm so grateful to be here with you for a common goal of keeping children safe. Myself, as a 25-year public school teacher and union member, I'm also so grateful that my union presidents are both here. Thank you both. And thank you to Dr. Desiato, I asked to. Dr. Donna, thank you for having us, and all these superintendents for being here. I really appreciate it. It's really an honor to be in a place where digital wellness and online safety for kids is a priority. So as you heard, my name is Mary. My 3.5 years ago, he was 15 years, 9 months, and 27 days old when a sinister stranger from the Ivory Coast who pretended to be a beautiful young woman named Megan Miller found him and friended him on Facebook. She claimed to be a girl his age and sent him explicit pictures and convinced him that it was safe to send one in return, and he did that, and then immediately the sextortion began. She demanded that he pay her $3,500 or she would share the photo with everyone that he knew. This all happened in 6 hours and ended with him taking his own life. 6 hours, that's all it took for my world to be completely shattered, and I'll never be able to repair it. This tragedy and the unfathomable pain that I live with every day as a result is why I've really dedicated so much of my time and energy to advocating for children's safety online. I want COSA to become law. It will be the first piece of federal legislation in more than 25 years that will meaningfully protect kids online and truly hold social media platforms accountable for the harms that they cause. These are from sexual predators, eating disorders, cyberbullying, substance abuse, and so much more. At the end of July, after years of hard work that you already heard about, it passed the Senate 91
Don't say
to
they,
3.
she and her compatriots.
He's right. We were relentlessly bothering him. And it's, really unity to say is enough. Enough is enough. Children's lives matter more than the billion-dollar profits of companies like YouTube, TikTok, and Meta. But we're not done yet. We must get the House to pass COSA now, too. We can't let this Congress end without doing it. Without a successful vote, this is not yet law. We have no time to lose. With the presidential election coming up and a lame duck congressional session looming, the clock is ticking quickly. Our kids are in constant danger every day that they scroll on Instagram or message friends on Snapchat. And as we send them off to start another school year, arming them with computers and tablets that are connected to the internet. And by the way, all kinds of bad guys, like the ones who found Riley and exploited him, are there too. Without any safety or guardrails required of big tech, we must remember that the dangers remain. There are parents out there now who, like me, have no idea that this could be the last first day of school they ever have with their child, and it shouldn't be that way. So I'm here with the leader and all of you, and I thank you for being a key champion of COSA, sir. You were integral in getting it over the finish line, and I appreciate your call on our New York congressional delegation, and in fact, every single member of the House who I know care about the health and well-being of our American children. They need to get this done. They must pass COSA without any more delays. It is clear that this bill will save lives. I have no doubt that COSA could have saved Riley. It will spare other families the suffering that I will endure for the rest of my life. So thank you, Mr. Schumer, for everything that you have done.
Just look at the picture.
He's so cute. And thank you for helping us to make sure that COSA passed the Senate and continuing to support it to the end. All of the parents that you know, our friends together, and we really appreciate you.
She says it all. As I said, we had really great allies, and it wasn't in Randy Weingart nor Melinda Person's purview to have to do this. They're representing the teachers as teachers, although the teachers are parents, they are parents, they have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. But the union was instrumental in lining up bipartisan support, and I can't thank them enough. So let me first call on Randy Weingarten, who's I've known since she was a chapter chairman many years ago, to say a few words. Thank you, Randy. I often tell you I call her so much I know her phone number by heart, and I once gave it out, and I'm not doing it again.
Yes, when he doesn't call my wife and say, where is she, have her call me.
That's the way to get to her.
So, I am, look, I'm not delighted to be here, even though it's amazing that it's a first grade school, because of the topic that we're talking about. But it's imperative to be here, and I'm glad all these superintendents are here, and Senator, Majority Leader Chuck, I'm not surprised that you were the one who helped champion this and was indefatigable. It's not a 45-syllable word, but it's my SAT word for the day. And you are indefatigable about the things that really matter to real people. And this matters to real people. It matters to parents who have lost their kids. But it matters to every single kid who's here. And I love the Design It For Us kids who are here right now. And I love their parents that are here right now. And I love and the teachers that are here, as well as the superintendents. And we are here for the exact purpose that Senator Schumer and talked about, and that Riley's mom talked about, which is that while social media has lots of advantages, and during COVID, it was absolutely essential for us to be able to engage kids with all those tablets and everything else we did, and on and on and on. What has happened in so many families is kids are fixated on this as opposed to looking at each other like this. How many times have I gone into schools, probably some of the chapter leaders and the leaders of locals have heard me say this, where I say, are your kids looking at you, or are they looking at their devices? It's part of the reason why there's a big question about whether devices or cell phones should be in classrooms. But this is the point I want to make. We know the problems with social media. We know the problems with disconnectedness. We know the problems with anxieties. We know the problems with algorithms. We know all this. It's not just the parents who lost kids who know this. We know this. And we have gone after this for years. How many times have I gone, for example, to a Facebook shareholder meeting to say, you need to put a new policy in place? When I went during your amazing AI forum, Senator Schumer, and I went to Mark Zuckerberg and I brought him the report that we and Design For Us and the American Psychological Association and others had done to say, these are the problems. Solve these problems. The report is called Likes versus Learn. You can see it on our website. Solve these problems. Do something about this. Put the tools back in parents' hands. We don't control your algorithms. You do. You control your profits. Do something about it. And they would look at you like Mark did at one of those hearings and turn around to parents and say, oh, I'm wrong, I really apologize. And they would do nothing. Their corporate profits are more important to them than kids' lives. So we need federal law. We need COPPA and COSA. We need to actually change the law so that we have those kind of products liability standards. We have it for seatbelts in cars. We should have it for our kids in terms of their posts and in terms of what these tech companies are doing. That's why we're here. And that's why the union, our union, Melinda Person and NYSUT at a state level and us at a national level are so thankful that this went past the Senate. Now, we have to get it through the House, because without a law, these big tech companies will put their profits over our kids, and we need our kids to be over the profits. Thank you.
Now, the minute I met Melinda Person for the first time when she became head of NYSED, I said, she's a special person. She's going to be a great leader. That was, what, 2 years ago? A year and a half ago, and she has lived even beyond my expectations. Melinda Person.
Thank you. I'm here today as the president of New York State United Teachers, but also as the mother of 4 public school children. And in fact, my 11-year-old twins are starting middle school on Thursday. And I think about this issue from multiple perspectives, but first and foremost, as a parent. And last night, I was setting up with my son parental controls on a video game that he was using. And one of the options for this video game was to have strangers that could chat with you on this video game. And I was blocking all the strangers, and as I was Googling how to do that, because as a parent, this is not my forte, video games. As I was Googling that, I found another link, how to get around your parents' parental controls. Right? The technology is moving faster than us parents can keep up with, and we need help. We need help from our government leaders to step in and protect our children. This year I spent hours and hours talking with our members, officials, and lawmakers about a bill here in New York State about the dangers of social media on our kids. We heard stories of parents who have watched their children wither away from eating disorders and worse. We've gone back and forth about the best way to protect our children when we know that these apps and these platforms, they're here to stay. Here in New York, we passed the nation's leading law to address the most dangerous aspects of social media. Our nearly 700,000 members made their voices heard to support those bills, and we worked with Governor Hochul and Tish James, our Attorney General, to get that bill across the finish line, and we're very proud to have done that here in the state of New York. We will continue the fight for our students' mental and physical wellness at the national level because it is what needs to be done. There is no question that the unfettered access to these platforms is unhealthy. The science is there, the research has been done, the Surgeon General has sounded the alarm. A poll this spring showed nearly 2/3 of all New Yorkers supported efforts to rein in social media platforms and require parental consent for these addictive feeds. The public is behind this bipartisan effort. Now, the health hazards of constant social media use are accepted facts, much like we know that cigarettes cause lung cancer. But we knew cigarettes were deadly in the 60s, and it took decades for us to regulate the tobacco industry. We can't make the same mistake, and we cannot wait decades for our children. The House of Representatives must pass this bipartisan legislation because lives depend on it. We must act now, thoughtfully, and with the ability to course correct as we learn about how to best keep these influences in their proper place. NYSED stands ready to do this work together with parents and with our legislators, because keeping our children safe and creating healthy environments for them is job number one. Thank you.
The New York state law, and I salute Melinda and NYSED for it, is much like our federal law. But of course you need this federally because you need to cross state lines as the internet does. And everyone agrees with that. But they did a great job here. Okay, our last speaker is Kathleen Gaffney-Babb, and she's president and CEO of Helio Health, which is dedicated to helping the online health of our kids.
Good afternoon. As Senator said, I'm Kathleen Gaffney-Babb, President and CEO of Helio Health. We're serving individuals across the lifespan here in Onondaga County, as well as the Finger Lakes, Mohawk Valley, Southern Tier, and the Capital Region. On behalf of Helio Health, thank you, Senator Schumer, for allowing me to echo your support of the Kids Online Safety Act and the Children and Teens Online Privacy Protection Act. Through our certified community behavioral health clinic, including our 20 school-based clinics, Helio Health has served 2,161 individuals under 21, 914 of which under the age of 13 in 2023 alone. We are witnessing firsthand the harmful effects of social media activities, including bullying, peer pressure, and negative self-image. Young people we see at our clinics are struggling with depression, anxiety, eating disorder, and suicidal thoughts. Our therapists routinely discuss with parents the importance of managing and monitoring their children's exposure to social media. We need to make every effort to protect our young people from the harms of social media. Alongside Senator Schumer and my other esteemed colleagues here today, I stress the importance of prioritizing the mental health of our young people through the passage of COSUN.
We'll take questions from the media on this subject.
So in practice, how would this work?
Well, first, there's a duty of care for the first time that's placed on the social media. So they cannot let their algorithms do what the algorithm did to your son and to so many others that we've talked about. Second, it gives parents the ability to say, I don't want my kid to see this, or the other thing. We're all the way up to 17 years of age. So that makes a big difference. Third, there are now companies that sell the kids information. So if your kid goes online and says, I have an eating disorder, somebody can see that and then sell it to some company that gives it to predators, so that's stopped as well. That's among the many things that we do. But as Randy said, we get into the algorithm, which is the thing that sort of, an algorithm can be programmed. Oh, well, a kid says something about eating disorder, send them all these things, which are evil, and prey on their brains.
How would this be enforced and policed if there is a violation, if this does become a law? down the
Yes,
line?
this is enforced by both the Justice Department and the FTC. And look, we know that there are real penalties here, and we believe that once this law passes, the social media companies will make the changes that we require.
Some critics say that it would allow some kids not to see maybe information they need to see, let's say the LGBTQ.
Well, yeah, we worked very closely. One of the reasons this took a while, there were some objections from the LGBT community and from some others. So we worked with them, and they no longer have the kind of opposition they had to the bill originally.
It does not prevent anything that they search. Kids can still search for whatever they want, but then that search can't be used against them in the future information sent to them by the
Give you an
companies
example.
tracking them.
A gay kid wants to go online and seek out somebody. The social media company can't use that information to send them all kinds of stuff that people who would prey on them do what they did to Mary's kid in a different sense, blackmail them and everything else. So that's where it stops. We have free speech issues, we've protected those, but we've also protected the kids. Okay? Yes. Oh, that's it. Thank you, everybody, and I want to thank everyone. I want to thank our superintendent. I want to thank you kids for coming. I couldn't think of a better educational experience on your first day of school.
Civics 101.
Right, so thank you.
They were so great. That was a long time. Thank you.
Yes, let's get a picture with the kids. And then I want to take a picture with Mary and all you leaders as well. Okay, good.
I want the kids to
Yeah, come on in, kids. You know what I'm gonna do? No. Let's do a separate one. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'll go like this. Okay?
Yes.
That works for you.
So they're not blocking any kids.
Everybody say happy birthday to school.
Okay, now I'd like to take a yeah, Mary, Randy, and Melinda. Okay? And then we'll do one with the kids. Let's do one ourselves first. And now we'll all do one with the kids. Okay, now with the kids. All right, I'm going to do my heel.
I'm so sorry.
No, we're good. And then I'd like the superintendents to stay. Can the superintendents stay and we'll do a picture with them? Thank you.
Alright, everybody. What? Me next? Can everyone look at me really, really fast? Sorry. 1, 2, 3. Great.
And kids, I'm sure there are some of your teachers have a picture of it, so can we send it to all the kids? Okay, now the superintendents. Yes. Well, let's just let her go first and then Great.
Thank you so much.
You see the Syracuse orange, Chuck?
Absolutely.
Look at
Yes,
that.
that's what we also have. We have a
Yeah.
Spartan for the senator too.
That's your mascot? Orange spot.
No, it's a silver, it's a gold pin and it's a silver keychain. We have both.
Okay. Thank you.
Your last one, you were here.
I
I
remember.
told you to go get my graduation suit. Yours in my car.
What was her name? The great president of Syria. Stanley. I liked her a lot.
We have time. Where's
Can
Abe?
we get a picture of Paul?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want would you meet my mom and
Yes, thank you. First day, yes.
I have her.
Okay, this lady's gonna take our picture.
I have your camera.
This is Mrs. Casey, Mary's mom.
That's right. Thank you for all that you do, Mary. Thank you. You do our president.
Yes,
and
I
our-
see you got your Spartan.
That's right.
I remember. Yes. I hear these stories at Prince. Yeah. Well, I may have too, still, but I got more. I have more than one. I'll do it at the Great.
In just a minute. Okay,
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
I want to tell her. So what are we dedicating in Rochester?
Could you send me some pictures of